What is up, everybody? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. Streaming here live on a Wednesday night because I'm officially returning with Comic Collector Origins, a series, a YouTube series, and show that I had carried on for a couple of years as the pandemic had come in, and everybody was stuck inside with nothing to do, and people were starting to create YouTube channels and all this stuff. I created one, and it was specifically for comic book community members, and the whole point of Comic Collector Origins is to learn about the guests or origins that I have on each and every time that I have this show. So it's a little different now, coming to you live on a Wednesday night. For those who had followed me from a couple years ago, know that I was doing them every Saturday at 2 o'clock Eastern. For the longest time, every Saturday I had a guest. And, obviously when we're all stuck inside, it's a little different. We're able to actually sit and watch. But as the world opened up a bit more, I got a bit busier and life got a bit busier. Family got a bit busier in a good way, all in good, good stuff. But of course, just had to kind of step away from YouTube for a little while and or do less of it, I should say. And that's kind of why I went on a little bit of a hiatus for this particular show. Now, granted, I still do some content here and there. I have Omni X-Men. If you guys are not familiar with that, me and my buddy John kick that off every Tuesday, and we're just starting that new season up. But other than that, I had kind of stepped away from the YouTube, arena, I guess I can call it. But I love the show so much. Comic Collector Origins is, again, all about the community members. It's all about you, the person that I have on, the guests that I have on, learning more about Origins. I thought of this whole idea to begin with when we, watching other people's channels and hearing people talk about characters, superheroes, and their origin stories, and always wanted to know more about first appearances and them as they change throughout their lives, and their some went from villain to hero or hero to villain and all this stuff. And I'm like, I want to know all that stuff about the collectors, about the readers that are enjoying this hobby so much. So I kind of flipped it. Instead of being about the character, it's more now about us. It's about the community members of or the members of this community. So it's been a ton of fun, and that was one thing I missed so much about this, is just meeting so many cool people, getting to know so many cool people, and especially from all over the world. I've had guests on in the past that I never thought I'd have the opportunity to meet, otherwise. So being able to have this platform to hang out in a way that I can get that sense of getting to know somebody and staying long friends for years to come. This has allowed me to do that. And I just, thinking back to it now, I'm like, I gotta launch something here. I want to get something back in. So this is my efforts of coming back with Comic Collector Origins, and very much in part due to the inspiration of the guests that I have here tonight, which I'll get a little bit further into here shortly. But yeah, this is what I think I'm going to start doing here. Is it's a Wednesday night. We'll see if this time works for me, for my guests. Maybe we change it up a little bit. I can be flexible about certain things and figure out times, but certainly will not be on Saturdays anymore, for the most part anyways. Maybe one or two here or there for certain people that can't make the weeknights, but for the most part, for now, I'm going to be doing Wednesday nights, 10 o'clock, probably bi-weekly. So I'm not going to be back this upcoming Wednesday, but I will be back again on the Wednesday after that. And I already have another guest lined up, so I'm really excited for that. So I'll be promoting that over on Instagram. If you do not already follow me over there, make sure you do so. My link is in the description over there. Other than that, I wanted to share getting ready for New York City Comic Con. Literally going to be there Friday. If anybody's there, let me know. Would love to, link up with some folks. Love the meeting community members at these Comic Cons, things like that. So, check it out there. And yeah, I think otherwise those are the key things I wanted to kind of mention before we get started. So again, for those who are here live right now, I appreciate you. Make sure you smash the like button. For those who are watching the replay, thank you as well for taking some time. If you've been watching the show, thanks for all the support. If you're new to it, hopefully you come back. Maybe I'll have you on as one of my guests one of these days soon as well. So furthermore, let me I guess just kick this off by saying I have a guest tonight that if you saw the thumbnail, you know who it is. If you saw me over on Instagram talk about it, you know who it is. I'm very excited about this guest. Somebody who I had connected with, I don't, maybe over the last year or so, maybe two. Maybe we've kind of followed each other on Instagram for a while. Didn't get into too deep of talks until the last year or so, and then I had a great opportunity to actually meet him in person at Terrificon this past year, which obviously is just a game changer. And every year that show is just better and better and better. But to see his experience, his first time at Terrificon, and to get to know him, his friends, and everybody else that's part of this community that he's connected with, it really just was an awesome experience. And on top of that, I mentioned before, my guest is someone who legit has inspired me to get more content out there, because he is one of the hardest working guys I know in this Instagram and YouTube comic book community, with the amount of editing and videos and content that he's putting out, the filming, the dedication to all this, is where I was at one point, and I feel like I had lost my way, right? And seeing a lot of that and getting to know someone and can truly call him my friend, has really inspired me to get back on my horse and kind of, go at it again, because it's reminded me of all the things I enjoyed when I was doing it, the connections I was making, the stories I was telling, the funny skits I was creating, and things like that. That creativity really pulls from what I love and enjoy most, with this community, and then of course meeting those people that I'm connecting with. So of course, this is a long-winded way to say I have my special guest tonight, my good friend Ryan, aka Colossus Collector. Let me bring him in here. What is up, Ryan? My dude. How's it going, bro?
Thanks for having me on, buddy, and all those very kind words, flattering. I don't know if it's all legit, but I'll take it. I appreciate it.
Oh, dude, man, listen. Even though you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, I forgive you, bro, and you're the man. I love you, dude. I'm so glad that we've connected here. What's that? You forgive me? Yeah. No, man, I seriously, like, just seeing your content, you're on top of it each and every time, and not only that, but it's great quality stuff. I'm cracking up at your videos. I'm blown away by the intros and the edits that you do. Got to see you do your thing even at the show. Like, you were committed, you were filming constantly, and I know that takes a ton of work, a ton of time. I know that you even had to take off for putting some of those videos together, even just from that post, in particular, that show itself. But and I know you've been doing it for a while. I mean, this is not a couple of years now into it, at least, from what I know, and this is why I have you on, because I want to know more about really how you got started with everything, YouTube, comics, all that stuff, and we will get into that. But yeah, man, just admiring everything that you're doing, the Council of X that you've put together, the group chat that you have going on, that I admit I have a hard time keeping up with from time to time, but I love seeing all the group there and everyone that's just friends with each other and getting to know each other. So you do that, man. You brought those people together, and it's just really cool to see. So I thank you for being on the show, man.
Well, thank you. I try. I really enjoy the hobby and the community. It's what it's all about, man. So the more we can make things happen and bring people together, it's the better, right?
100%. And for those watching right now, if you're not following Ryan, make sure you do so. I put his information in the description below. Sub up to his channel, check out his content, hit him up over on Instagram and everywhere else that you are. Yeah, definitely reach out if you want to even just talk comics, especially X-Men. He's the guy to talk to, for sure. And look, Ryan, I know you this is technically not your first time, streaming here with me on my channel / John's channel, as we had you on, in the past to break down some X-Men, and I appreciate you, tuning in each and every week. Omni X-Men has definitely kept me going in a lot of this, and I know we share a lot of the same, favorites when it comes to certain characters that I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about. But yeah, man, so happy to have you back. And I see a couple people in the chat, so I want to say a quick hello. Some people that have been hanging out here, and then we're going to jump into some of the Q&A that I had mentioned to you before. So see my boy John. Yo, what's up, Johnny boy? Let's see, we got my man Matt in Clemson. What's going on, Matt? He had just sent me some stuff. He and I going back and forth a little bit here with music and stuff like that. So Matt, appreciate you tuning in as well. Let's see what's on the comic rack. What's going on? He says smash that like button. Yes, I agree. Take a moment, smash the like button if you so be so kind. Let's see, my good friend Gore Vidal. What is going on, Gore? Hello. Appreciate you, brother, for swinging by. Of course, he's got to have a Saga comment here. P.S. Glad Saga isn't within view. Yeah, no, it's it's I can get it though, Gore, if you want. I know you like Saga. Let's see. What's on the comment says Colossus Collector is the Steven Spielberg of the comic book YouTubers. I love that line. Yeah, I agree. That's pretty accurate.
I always get the highest praise from Mr. Egg, because I appreciate him so much.
well, you're getting praise, and then you're getting trashed here with that comments.
Oh yeah, no, that's part of the course. I love it.
He brings you right back to earth there.
Keeps right here, right on the right.
Yeah, exactly. We got my man Hyper Combo Comics. What is going on? Hype got to finally meet hype over at Terrificon as well. He was a former guest to Comic Collector Origins from a couple years ago. So appreciate you jumping in here, saying hello. Always good to see you, man. We also got my man Noah, aka Broke Boy Comics, hanging out with us in the chat. He's been very active doing things on his channel as well. So keep up the great work, my friend. All right. So and again, people, if you have questions for Ryan here, just throw them in the chat as we kind of go along. But I'm going to kick things off, Ryan. And my first question for you really is pretty straightforward. Where did this hobby start for you? Not even, before YouTube and before the content creation side of things, just your fandom for comic books and the characters and the story. Where were you in your life at this time? How old were you? Did you have family members around you or friends that got you into it? Tell us a little bit about like how this hobby started for you.
Yeah, so I'm a Marvel guy, and that really goes back to being a kid. I didn't really collect comics as a kid. What really kind of got my love for Marvel was a combination of the 1994 Marvel Masterpieces card collection was a big part of it. Before that, though, even it was all cartoons. It was the X-Men original animated series. It was the original Spider-Man series of the 90s. And then also I used to rent VHS tapes at the movie store of the like 1960s and 70s cartoons. So like the original Spider-Man, all the characters, Submariner, Thor, Hulk, Captain America, all those. So I was really into Marvel as a kid, and then I had a few comics here and there, and then I got a little bit older, and then I did have like a little window, a year or whatever, where I started collecting comics. It was kind of in the era of when Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld came back from Image, and then they were doing the Heroes Reborn era kind of the Avengers and FF and Captain America and stuff. So I had a lot of that, for a little while I was collecting those books, and it was kind of around the same time as New X-Men by Grant Morrison. And so I was just kind of into it for a little while, and then then I got to that age where a lot of people who were fans of that stuff as a kid, hit their teenage years and they find new interests, and I was always kind of hopping around from interest to interest. But I always loved Marvel. The movies came out, Spider-Man, X-Men movies, and then of course the MCU started, and then I got really into the MCU, just a complete fanboy for the MCU. And then it was only a couple years ago that I finally just little inspirations of like I already was a bit of a collector of like sports stuff, and I had that collector bug, but I just started thinking about, like, what about the comics? Like I would see these like rooms like Gem Mint collectibles and stuff on YouTube, and I thought that was like super cool. Like that would be awesome to have a room like that, and it sort of just sparked my collecting brain, and off I went. And it's been about 3 years now, of just short of 3 years of just like hardcore comic collecting and jumping into everything. So
you like really at that point on so you've been hunting since then. All the collection that you show off on your channel and stuff, that's all just really just within a core of it, 3 year span. That's really cool. Very cool. Well, you did a great job, especially with the room. You're talking about some of these big names here with some really cool room setups. You got the arcade set up in the background. That is on my list still, man. I see Magneto right there. Yeah, that's on my list. I'd love to. Yeah, it's so cool. How often do you play that?
I'll be honest, I don't play it a lot, but I love it as just a, like, obviously I throw it on when I go
the vibe
and stuff. It's a cool vibe, but I'll tell you, it's made me an incredibly popular uncle. My niece and nephew, and then my cousin's kids, who all call me Uncle Ryan. They love when they're over here. they are always on that thing. They want to play it. So it does get used. It does get played. I'll play with my niece and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not like the game itself is somewhat repetitive. You know,
sure, yeah.
I like
After a while.
to get my nostalgia dose every once in a while, but I'm not playing that every night. That's for sure.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. And hey, it's great for your nieces and nephews. Anyone else that comes over. Maybe who knows? You're turning them into these fans who they already started to like stuff, and now they're liking it even more, and they're getting a taste of the OG stuff.
I'm trying to plant those seeds, right? Like,
yes.
I got my nephew. He's wearing all the Marvel cartoons or t-shirts and stuff, and
nice. Getting to know the characters.
It's fun. It's fun.
Cool, very cool. Quick hello to our good friend Dan. What is up, Dan? Hanging out in the chat. He says, "We love you, Ryan. Good to see you, brother."
My bro, right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, you guys, dynamic duo for a lot of the shows and stuff that you've been doing.
It's like my co-host.
yeah, absolutely. Gotta get you on here at some point, bro. But yeah, so very cool. So I mean, so you mentioned like the cartoons, some of the other things that you were collecting as when you were younger. Was there any like character or moment or something that like really pulled you in that you can recall from where you're just like, yeah, this is like my life right here. Like this is stuff I love, that you can recall, maybe an episode or some sort of something that happened in an episode or anything like that.
Well, I mean, I'm the Colossus Collector, so obviously Colossus is my favorite character, and that really comes back to that game back there that we were just talking about.
Okay.
That was I played that game in my hometown arcade with a bunch of friends. That machine, the original machine, had like a 6-player capability or capacity or whatever. And I just always loved Colossus. I thought he was the coolest character. I gravitate to kind of strong, macho, big characters. I'm a tall guy, as you found out. I don't know.
Hey, Ryan.
Ever since I was a kid, I always liked like strong characters like that.
Yeah.
And then he's like covered in metal. He's invulnerable. He's really cool. Loved his episodes, his little minor episodes on the original series. X-Men fortunately wasn't part of it all the time, which is my one critique of the X-Men cartoon.
I don't blame you.
So like, yeah, that was honestly like not a lot of depth to the reason why I like Colossus originally. But now as I've gotten older, I've learned a lot, obviously way more about him, and I do really like him for a lot of different reasons. So yeah, I mean, like Venom's another character I really liked as a kid. Loved Venom as a character in that original Spider-Man cartoon, and I'm a kid of the 90s, right? Like Venom popped off at that time. He was everybody was talking about Venom. That's why I like Venom. And then Wolverine's another favorite of mine because I'm Canadian, he's Canadian, those kind of origins. But again, big 90s character, was super popular. Yeah, those are kind of my early characters that are still like my top favorite characters now. As I've gotten older.
Nice. I mean, I'm with you there on a lot of that stuff. And growing up, mostly in the 90s, I can certainly relate. I want to say a quick hello to a couple people in the chat who just jumped in. Our good friend Bruce, and hello, sexy people. Good to see you, Bruce, as always. And then I also saw my brother Chinmo hanging out in the chat. What's up, brother? From 3 Men in a Basement. Always good to see you, my friend.
Terrificon reunion right up in here tonight.
Yeah, yo, seriously, you're right. So you mentioned a little bit about Colossus Collector. I have to ask, and this kind of going into the YouTube and Instagram side of things, is where did that, or what made you decide you wanted to get into the channel that you have? What came first? Was it YouTube? Was it Instagram? And kind of what did you have in mind when you were first starting to get into this side of the hobby?
Yeah, so when I 3 years ago or whatever, early 2022, when I started thinking about like jumping into the hobby,
Hmm.
Instagram just was a place that I felt like I needed to explore more, and a good way to learn and to see things, and then just kind of like dive into the hobby that way. And I quickly discovered the community that we have on Instagram, and met tons of people. We mentioned Dan's X-Men Comics is like the first person I really connected with on Instagram when I got into the hobby. Obviously, the X-Men um, fandom brought us together, and yeah, so like Dan's like my first friend in the hobby, and I was on IG for a year, and I was really like trying to like build up my IG. I did some giveaways, and I did different. I was trying to almost make it like I was being a content creator on IG,
Sure.
and I kind of I enjoyed it. I really liked the interaction with everybody, and I loved sharing what I was buying, because I was buying like crazy, because I was in that first year of obsession.
Yeah, all the
And
claim sales and stuff like that. Yeah.
oh, diving
Yeah.
it in hard, claim sales, whatnot. I was all over. I was over everything.
Right.
Learning and learning some hard lessons as well. But yeah, no, really enjoyed Instagram, and I don't quite know what was the first seed or nugget of a thought to start YouTube, but it kind of came on towards the end of that first year of collecting and being on IG. I just sort of wanted to engage even more with the community. Obviously, I was watching a lot of the channels on YouTube and saw that there was like a vibrant YouTube community as
Sure.
well.
Yeah.
And I think like I thought, maybe in the back of my mind there was like some sort of a potential that maybe if the channel was a little bit successful, it could somewhat help fund the hobby a little bit. I quickly like realized that that's not really my focus, and
Mm.
not, I mean, I don't want to say it's unrealistic. You could do it if you push hard enough and
Sure.
work enough at it, but
Yeah.
for me, it really quickly, I realized like it's all about the community aspect of it, making friends, and I'm just so thankful that I did it. I've just met it just took what I was doing on Instagram and just amplified it and made it even stronger, and like gave me
Yeah.
more of an avenue to actually meet people, as opposed to just like comment section and
Yeah.
liking posts and stuff. Like all of a sudden, the people I was talking to on YouTube and stuff, I was then also talking to more on IG and
Yeah.
message threads and all that stuff. And it's really been awesome. But yeah, so it's started on IG for the first year, then moved into YouTube the following year.
Nice. Very cool. I have a couple highlights I want to hit here in the chat. Our boy Josh hanging out says, yo, my beauties. Good to see you, Josh. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Let's see. I saw some mentionings of oh yeah, yep. Some other people met each other at Terrificon. Noah and Dan talking it up. Let's see. Matt said the group you guys were with at Terrificon this year has given me so many fantastic YouTube videos, and I ended up subbing so many new people from that group that you guys were in. There you go. That's awesome. Spreading the love. Yeah. And that's another thing too. Like I similar, like just started to, you start to see these, everybody connecting with each other and shouting each other out, and you're like, oh well, if they're into the same stuff that they're into, I'm probably gonna like them too. And sure enough, the community continues to grow. So very cool. So I guess for you're talking about YouTube and everything else, is there anything right now? Oh no, sorry, were you doing anything prior to this, like personally? Because I know you have some editing chops with everything that you do, and is that something that you do on the side, or a skill that you just carry with you for for personal or work purposes or anything like that? Or were you doing a YouTube channel before you're doing this one? Because it does feel like I mean, you're a pro, bro. You're a pro.
I appreciate it. No, I've never done a YouTube channel. This was my first YouTube channel. Obviously, I have a personal IG, but I wasn't really doing any like content-y stuff there. But why it might come across a little pro-ish is because I work in advertising as like I develop creative campaigns. I make and have made many ad campaigns, made commercials. Nice. And so I'm pretty proficient when it comes to graphic design and like working in Photoshop and all that stuff. And I've dabbled in video editing myself on little personal projects over the years, and some of like what I know from my design stuff is like really helped me be able to pick up a lot of stuff in the video avenue or the video skills, right? So I just like really translated a lot of what I can do there to video and to making content. And yeah, so that's kind of where it comes from. Like I can make my own graphics and stuff like that. And I also just like know how to find things online too to increase my output. And I have a mind for that creative kind of stuff. So
Sure. And hey, we live in in my opinion, we live in the best time right now as far as technology goes. And like you said, if there is something you're not sure of, obviously you can Google and try to figure it out.
And I really have, like, honestly, like YouTube videos, how-tos and things like that. I've done that. I do that too, right? I'm not like I said, I'm not trained professionally in video editing or motion graphics or anything like that. But like I said, like a lot of what I can do in the design side of things, I can translate it over and find a way to make it work and that sort of thing.
Nice. Right there with you. And I know we had talked a little bit about like some of the backgrounds, you being in ads, advertising, things like that. I'm in marketing myself. So, and I've always had to kind of dabble in Photoshop and Premiere and some of the other avenues like that. So it definitely comes in handy.
Totally. It definitely helps. And like Adobe Premiere is part of that Adobe Creative Suite. So like knowing your way around one at least gives you like a foundation to build off of.
That's true.
And like I said, I have been playing around with Premiere and doing some personal projects and stuff over the years. So I already did have a little bit of editing experience in that regard.
Yeah. Josh says that you're an editing god. This is true.
Thank you.
Terrific intro. Yeah, if you guys have not,
I don't know about that, but I can handle myself a little bit.
I will say, and I'll speak for you, Josh. Yeah, like that is for those who have never seen or don't know what Josh is talking about. As far as the intros go on YouTube, definitely go check. I'll have to link that afterwards. I'll put that in the description below. The Terrificon recap, right, is what essentially part one of what you were doing there.
Assemble at Terrificon part 1.
There it is. Yeah. So
I confused with part 2, which was a little less crazy.
No, but you still had some great stuff in that too. So if you guys get a chance, check that out because there was some phenomenal editing and very entertaining. And on top of that, it's like so cool. You included so many people, and obviously people you had met and connected with at that weekend, which obviously makes it even more special for all of us because we like relive a lot of it, and it's just obviously special to be part of it. So
it was like a ton of work. I mean, I'll say like that. I hope people don't expect that kind of level of like intricacy.
No, you're doing that every week, brother.
That was an undertaking, a labor of love, but it was an undertaking, and but it was just so fun. Like I literally had so much fun making that, and just thinking of how people are going to react when they see it, when they see themselves in it, especially just going into it blind must have been so much fun for people. And I was thrilled with the reaction it got. It definitely made it all worthwhile to make that.
Well deserved. Talking about this hobby, I'm kind of curious where you stand right now with the hobby itself. Do you have specific goals or maybe yearly goals with certain books you're trying to collect, or even just a style or way that you're trying to approach this hobby? between reading and collecting and trading or selling, or any avenues that you're kind of looking, moving into this, coming to the end of the year here, where are you at right now with this hobby, and where are you trying to go with it?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I like I said, when I first jumped into it, I went hard and I was buying lots and lots of books.
Mm,
I guess what I do is I'm I'm a key collector, but I'm a bit of a run collector. I'm I'm very X-Men heavy, especially because that's just kind of the biggest priority right now. But like I said, I'm a Marvel nut.
mhm,
So like all Marvel keys are up my alley, and I do have a lot of non X-Men keys that I've gotten to.
sure.
This past year has been a little bit of a reset for me. I've really dialed back um, the I guess as much as I was buying, and I've been trying to save for a big book this
Mhm.
year, my X-Men 1, and I'll have an update on that soon, but not tonight.
Okay.
But it's that's really where my focus has been. That said, I've still bought a lot of books this year. I mean,
Sure,
really
sure.
look back at things, but I've just like just as the volume hasn't been as much. And I'm trying to be a little bit more fiscally responsible, like this year and then moving forward, because I really did go crazy that. And
Yeah.
I've also been trying to sell some stuff off too. Like, you sort of evolve too. You realize like, oh, maybe I like this book, but maybe I don't need it, or I like this book, but I want something better, or I want a better condition down the road. So what do I really need to hold on to it now, or can I roll this into what I really want right now? And
Mhm.
so I've been doing a lot of like selling off some stuff, and trying to get to the goal this year of that X-Men 1 through funding it through what I already have. So
Like the hobby itself. Yeah.
selling off some comics, but also like
Mhm.
I sold a Patrick Mahomes rookie card this year for
Oh,
1,500 Canadian, which
wow.
was pretty decent amount of money
It's a
into
big
the
chunk.
pot. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, so just trying to find things like that, ways like that to fund this, and it's gone pretty good. So and then in terms of reading, I mean I'm not a huge reader in the sense that like lifelong reader. I've always been more of a consumer of video and content and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Other avenues.
so it doesn't come natural to me to like, oh, I gotta go read something. But I've been really trying to read since I got into the hobby. I've read pretty much the entire Claremont era, or Claremont run of X-Men
Oh,
up,
there you go.
up to the 90s. And I just started my first pull list. I'm reading this new From the Ashes X-Men
Oh,
series
yeah. You're
minus a
getting in.
minus a
Yeah.
couple titles.
Sure.
And I picked up Namor, the new Namor series
Oh, yes.
from
Really
uh,
good. Really good.
Aaron,
Mhm. Yeah.
which
Jason Aaron's been
has
killing it.
been has been pretty good so far. And yeah, so I'm reading. I also just bought
Great.
crazy, but I bought the whole 3-book compendium of Invincible.
Oh,
Which is
nice.
my first non-Marvel thing that I
Whoa.
dive into. I love the cartoons, so
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah. Series is
I
fantastic.
got it for like $80 on Whatnot,
Wow.
because they were selling damaged books, so like they were
Oh,
selling omnis and stuff that just had
sure.
like maybe like a slight defect from shipping and stuff. So I jumped on like a crazy deal on it and got
Heck
that
yeah.
3-book series. So I'm gonna read that too. And yeah, so I'm reading. I'd like to increase my volume, but I find like it's just not. I'm not always just like grab my books,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
read right now. I try to read before bed and stuff like that.
That's good. I mean, hey, you take it at your own pace.
Yeah,
Obviously, everybody has their own limits and what they want to get into. So I think it's great. I mean, you're starting to find your way through things that you're liking. You're trying some new things, with Invincible, which is really cool to hear. I am a big believer in just there's so many great indie titles that are out there nowadays in the modern era of comics that I feel people sleep on or miss out on. And there's so many great creators, so many great writers and artists that are out there too that you kind of get introduced to along the way. So I hope you continue your journey through that and see what else you kind of stumble on from that, because there's so many great titles. And I agree with the show. The show's fantastic. So
yeah, the thing with reading for me is like like I said, I am really truly like a Marvel nut, and
yeah,
I I only just started reading comics in the last 3 years. So like the way I've been looking at it is like there's so much Marvel I want to read. How am I ever going to get to anything else, right?
yes,
But I obviously I know there's lots of great stuff out there that's not Marvel, and I don't want to. I tried in my mind to want to maybe not be like just like closed off to things,
yeah,
but I can't help but just like I really
yeah,
want to take on Marvel, right? So
totally get it.
I think if I could find a way to be like somewhere in like a 90% Marvel, 10% other stuff that
Yeah,
people interest, I think
that's
I'm
fair.
doing good, right?
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, and you make a great point. I mean, yeah, you're still dipping your toes in Marvel itself and X-Men itself. And obviously X-Men alone is so many things.
Yeah,
For you to read the amount you said that you have already is a ton as far as the Claremont stuff goes.
yeah.
So, and there's obviously just so much more. And, even some of the lesser known, Marvel tales and stuff like that that are out there. So
And
it's
I've
really
been
cool.
doing it all with Omnis up until the
Yeah.
just recently with the new issues, right? So
Yeah.
that's why I loved your guys' show, Omni X-Men. It was like,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
this is all stuff I've read. Let's
Right. Right. That's awesome. Very cool. I want to highlight a couple of things here in the chat from a little earlier. Josh was saying about your video intro. Yeah, we expect it for every Terrificon every year. There it is. And Shinmo too saying it's literally my favorite thing on YouTube. So there you
That's
are.
awesome, man.
Bruce is saying that you do go hard. Yes, you do. Broke Boy saying that's a great idea. Getting rid of lower grade copies if you want higher grades for in the future. Yeah, kind of trading up. A lot of people doing that for sure. Josh also saying I collected every X-Men book. Now I'm slowly upgrading, but I stand by. I stand by the book, not the grade. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally.
better low grade than no grade, as they say, right? My boy Art Chemist in the chat. What's going on, Art Chemist? Good to see you. So yeah, no, I very cool to kind of hear again kind of where you stand right now with it. Love to hear that you're diving into a lot of obviously the older X-Men stuff, but also the new stuff, which I think is exciting. And you and I will have to definitely catch up on that, because there's some stuff that I mean, as I read, I'm just like, who can I talk to? And I don't want to like spoil it for certain people if they're not reading or whatever. So I'll have to certainly check in with you on some
Got to
stuff.
come on the council, man.
I know,
Man.
dude, and that's what I want to get into next, actually. So tell me a little bit more about Council of X, how you decided to start that, you and Dan, and the rest of the crew that's now part of that. Obviously you had John and I as part of that, and we appreciate it, and really cool. I've told you it's been challenging for me to try to work my schedule into some of the shows and stuff, but love what you guys are doing. But tell us a little bit more for the viewers what it's all about, and what they can expect there.
Yeah, so when I started my channel, and it was all just me making like filming and creating videos. But then I started like I wanted to do something live. I wanted to talk to people, meet people face to face, kind of thing like this. And so at first, like I really wanted to talk to X-Men people, because that's my thing, that's my love.
Yeah.
So I talked with my friend Dan's X-Men Comics, and we decided let's do just kind of like something like this, like a little interview show where we talk to an X-Men or X-Men collectors about X-Men, how they loved X-Men, similar format to what you have for Comic Collector Origins, and we called it X-Men Collector Chat. And so we started that. And then we had an episode with Mike from Lunch Money Comics and my friend Josh from Sasquatch Comics in the chat here. And we just had like an incredible episode. We went for like almost 3 hours
Nice.
talking, and then like probably at least 3 hours at like if you add on our after backstage chats. And after it was done, like when we were talking backstage, I think Josh was even just saying, I just wish we could do this all the time, like, and just like get together and hang out and talk X-Men. And that's kind of what spawned the idea of the Council of X, which is now my second live show on my channel, where basically anybody who's come on for an X-Men Collectors chat is now a member of our Council of X.
I love it.
And it's kind of just an open invitation to anybody who's in the council to get together whenever we do an episode. And I try to have like a topic or a theme or something we're going to talk about. We often, we've talked, X-Men 97 when that was going on, Wolverine and Deadpool movie. We've done we did an X-Men draft where we all drafted our X-Men teams. Like, we've just had different fun nights and chats about X-Men. We did just recently a thing on the new From the Ashes, just what we thought of the first couple months of the books, that sort of stuff. And then we usually always show books and show stuff from our collection. Everybody loves to see the books, right? So it's just fun hangout night, all about X-Men. And it's been a lot of fun. I think we're like on 11 episodes now. We're about to have our 12th on Monday, which we're doing the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants draft on Monday. It was actually supposed to be this week, but I had to postpone it, reschedule. But this Monday, it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's what we're doing. And that's kind of what I'm doing live right now. But I have a new live thing coming up that I'm going to be starting a third live thing.
I love it.
Trying to branch out of X-Men so that I can have anyone and everyone on the channel and talk about different stuff. So I'll probably make an official announcement about that very soon.
Nice. Looking forward to it. Great idea too. Yeah, just to kind of open the doors a little bit more. I know I do feel sometimes for some people, they if you're not already in X-Men, it's hard to get in, kind of thing. That's how I felt when I was first getting into it only a few years ago, because it's so intimidating and there's so many characters and so many stories. So I could see some people who don't bother with X-Men. So,
but honestly, we got guys that come in the chat and watch all the time that aren't big X-Men guys. They just love to hang out with us in the chat. We have a lot of fun. And like I said, like we don't just cover like the comics, we cover like the movies and the cartoons and just general X-Men stuff too. So we just have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a good hangout, like I said. So you don't have to be an X-Men aficionado to enjoy the show and hang out, and you'll pick stuff up if you want to learn about X-Men.
Sure. Yeah, that's certainly our approach. I'm still brand new to a lot of the Omni X-Men stuff that we've been reading. So learning along the way, and certainly the chat has helped me big time with a lot of that stuff.
I haven't read New Mutants, so this season will be a good education for me as well. And
cool. Yeah.
I'll try to read along with my iPad this year.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Let's see. Art Chemist says, Ryan, who's your favorite X-Men? We talked a little bit about this earlier. Art Chemist. So I'll give you a hint based on Ryan's name, his handle. Throws you a hint there with Colossus Collector. There it is. But
Peter Rasputin.
Yes, the man. We've been talking a lot about comic books. We haven't really shown comic books. I did mention if you wanted to bring on a book that had meant something special to you, would you like to show us what you got here?
Sure. I was thinking about it for a while, and like I said earlier, like I don't have like a big history collecting, right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe I'll bring my first comic book ever, that does mean something to me. But you asked me for like what really means something to me, and I've shown this a million times, but this is like my pride and joy. Honestly, it's the first appearance of my favorite character.
Yes,
and it was a huge grail that I got last year.
Very nice. Yeah, 5.5.
I got it from a seller here in Canada, Ryan from Nefarious Comics. I like to always shout him out for it. And he's turned into a bit of a friend in the community and stuff. So it's also a nice it's got a nice little origin in terms of that as well. So yeah, that's my meaningful book. I've shown it many a time. So if you're a regular at my channel, you're probably sick of it. But how can you be sick of this?
Yeah, I was say you can never get too sick of that book. And yeah, man, I mean, that in itself, obviously, just what it means to you, and being your first, the character that you love, like that's huge, regardless of what it's worth or anything. So I love that you're showing that book. But I personally think it's a very underrated book still. I feel, through the years that I've been collecting, there's obviously a lot of big X-Men keys and books that people talk about with mutants in them. But I do feel like that I don't know, something about that versus, obviously a lot of compared to like Spider-Man and other comics. I feel like it still kind of falls short compared to a lot of those, which is crazy to me because, the amount of the characters that show up in that, and then on top of that, the story that's in it, and then on top of that, the story it leads to and launches. It's just like,
I mean, it's such a pivotal, important book. Both for first appearances and what it kicks off. Like you said, it really is like one of the most important Bronze Age books there is. And I love it. It's a big book.
Bruce is saying Jubilee is your favorite X-Men. I don't know if it's a rumor or what.
No, that's a little inside joke there. If you're wondering, I'm not a big fan of Jubilee. I find her incredibly obnoxious and just sparkly fingers. It's
not for you. Josh says it's giant. I mean, yeah, you are not wrong. Well, very cool. Thank you for showing that. Very awesome that you have it. And a nice 5.5 grade as well. It's beautiful. Presents really nicely. And that book's hard too, because it's like, being bright white like that. I've seen a lot that have been like baked in the sun, or they're just, they're really beat up for one reason or another. And also just the fact I'm sure, it was a popular book when it first came out, and I'm sure a lot of people just read it. So that's probably why a lot of them are hard to find, untouched,
Yeah. The color fades on it. The whites go brown, right? And it's a square bound book, right? So square bound can sometimes get some pretty bad tears around the spine, and
it's true. Hard to keep find a nice copy like that.
Pristine,
Dan's they're cheering Jubilee here.
They like to poke at Colossus.
So I know we're coming up on like the 47-ish 48 mark. I did want to ask, and I see a few. Thank you for those who are dropping questions in the chat. Before I get to them, and because I do have a little bit of a Q&A, like I was calling it a rapid fire segment, and it's really not rapid fire because I do like to hear a little bit of reasoning behind your answers. So
not one word. Yeah.
Yes, the formerly known rapid fire segment. I do have. I'm renaming it now the medium pace question.
I was going to say medium fire.
Yeah, the medium. Yeah. But before I do that, I do have one other big question for you here, and that is, again, based on the experience that you've had in this hobby and the approach that you've taken. Do you have any, and this is just whatever comes to mind, and no wrong answer. It could be very big, it could be very small. Do you have any advice for somebody who might be new to this hobby, newer, and just approaching it for the first time, or just even on the outside looking in and deciding, oh man, I see all these people that are talking about books, showing books, reading books, where do I start? That kind of thing. Anything come to mind for you as far as just what you would tell someone that might be considered brand new to this hobby?
I mean, I guess I would say it's awesome to be excited and really jazzed up for it. But try to buy smart in a sense. Like, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna get burned on some purchases. It happens, but
sure.
Like, try when you can, without stifling your excitement for the hobby, to just do a little bit of research, or just think about what you're buying. Just try to be really what's the word I'm looking for? Just go into it, try it like without the fog of I gotta get this book, that happens like crazy,
like
when
FOMO.
FOMO, Don't get sucked into FOMO. And ask questions, honestly, like ask sellers questions, and ask, a big thing about that is immerse yourself in the community, find some friends that you can really trust, and ask them questions. If you're going to buy a book, um, ask them what they think the value is. What if you have pictures? Like it's okay to kind of canvas your thought your potential purchases or anything like that, because people are more than willing to help out and
Yep.
give you good advice on stuff. I definitely didn't do that enough when I started. I just
Yeah.
like bonkers buying like crazy, and I could have probably saved myself a significant amount of money if I would have got that advice. But
Sure. Sure.
I guess that's what comes to mind, top of
I love
mind.
it. I
But
love
yeah,
it.
immerse yourself also in the community, because that's what's going to keep you
Yeah.
in it. Because
Yeah.
eventually that like crazy obsessiony excitement does come down a bit,
Mhm.
um, and the community is just, but the community will keep you in it, because now you're sharing it with someone, right? And
100%.
when you're sharing something, a love for something, it's like that's what keeps the love in there and makes it so much more fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, no, well said, man. I think all that. I think you nailed it. I mean, definitely, just having the friends that pull you up, even when you are. Look, this hobby is very much up and down, roller coastery. I know, even for myself, just like sometimes I fall out of interests. I get superhero fatigue sometimes. Sometimes I'm just not. I don't want to sit down and read a book for X amount of time or whatever. And it helps when you have friends who kind of either reel you back in or even just remind you of the great things that your reasons why you're in it to begin with. And very much to what I said in the beginning. I mean, that's you've inspired me to like get back into it, as far as the YouTube stuff goes, and the content stuff goes. And I do miss a lot of that. And this has been a blast, even just hanging out here with you and talking and seeing the chat and everything else. So
Appreciate
quick,
it.
it's been a just a great reminder to myself of like, oh yeah, like I remember how much I enjoyed this, and it has been a while for me. So you're very right to say you surround yourself with some good people, and people that will remind you of some good stuff. So
It's funny. So I don't know if you ever feel like this, but like sometimes you got a stream planned and you're like, oh man, like it's been a long day. Do I really feel like doing that type of thing? But then you get on and it's just like I
yeah.
can keep going. Like let's
Oh yeah.
you have so much fun, and it's just enjoyable. Um
Yep.
so yeah, I definitely again appreciate what you were just saying. I'm happy
Yeah.
if I'm doing any kind of inspiring stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, the community is what makes it all worthwhile.
Absolutely. I wanted to go all the way back to the top here, and I apologize. I'm missing some people's comments at the moment because I scrolled all the way back up. But I didn't want to hold. I was holding off on hypes because I like this question. I didn't want to throw it at you right in the beginning, but he had asked right off the bat. He said, from a fellow Canadian comic collector, what were the trials and tribulations you endured in a hobby dominated by Americans? Interesting way to put
Good
that. And
question.
yeah, like, and I could even just off the top of my mind as this question comes is, even from a buying and purchasing, or, I don't know the access you have in Canada with comic books, new comic books, older ones, the shops. I feel very lucky where I'm at in the New York, New Jersey area, where I have a lot of, Comic Cons and shops and choices to kind of go through. And again, I don't know how it is for you, up your way, but yeah, kind of curious, how you'd answer this.
Yeah, it's can be challenging in the sense of I mean right off the bat, the financially it's a lot harder because our dollar isn't it's like 63% of what an
Mhm.
American dollar is. So
Mm.
you're tacking on a significant amount on whatever price you see for a book, because everything in the hobby is on US dollar, right? So you kind of get used to also thinking in that way, but
Yeah.
it's easy to see a book and it's like, oh, it's $100. No, it's like $135.
Right.
Um,
And that adds up.
plus
That extra bit.
shipping and customs fees.
Oh, oh, yeah, yeah, true, True.
So the more money you spend on a book or books, the higher that custom fee is gonna be, because that custom fee is like 13% on what you
Yeah.
pay.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can find sellers that will help you out with that a little bit,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Interesting.
yeah. So financially it's tough. In terms of finding books, like we have lots of LCSs, so there, you can go hunting here, and there are
Yeah.
books up here. It's probably not as plentiful as like the Northeast or the Northwest is, in the States. I find
Yeah.
from what I hear, like those are like the where there's a lot of choice and a lot of great
Mhm.
hunting, and
Yeah.
so we don't quite have that, but I mean, you can hunt here, and
Sure.
I'm
Sure.
45 minutes from the border, so like if I needed to go down to the States, it's not hard. Not that I do
Yeah.
that much at all, but
Yeah.
I can do that. Yeah, so like that's really the main drawbacks. You just gotta
Yeah.
calculate the money,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's it.
It's interesting to bring up because obviously living in the States, it's something I don't think of, just that money
Mhm.
differential. But it's good to know Canada's not a barren wasteland, so it's it's a little more
No,
filler there,
no,
from your
not a
description.
frozen
Yeah, not
forest, dude.
just
Not
nothingness.
yet.
Yeah, not yet. Many years still to come, I'm sure. All right, let me scroll back down here because and again, hype. Thanks for that. He had asked that much earlier in the show here. My man Fable's in the chat station. Fable, good to see you, brother. We also have Frog Brawler saying good morning. Oh, good morning, Frog Brawler. Good evening from this side of things. Let's see. Matt is saying the community is something I never knew existed, and man is the biggest draw for comic collecting to me. Matt, that is amazing. Glad that you had discovered everything that you're discovering right now, because it's and there's so much more. I mean, there's just so many avenues of the community, and even on different platforms. We talk about Instagram and YouTube, but there's certainly a TikTok community. There's a Facebook community, and so on and so forth. So there, depending what
TikTok,
avenues you fall
I've
into.
never gone into the TikTok thing. I
Me
should.
neither. No, I haven't either. I did, when it first kind of kicked off, but and that's more for my work purposes, to just know
Right,
that
right.
kind of stuff. But as far as No Good Comics goes, I had created one, but it was just
I
so
kept
much.
hearing I just kept hearing it was Chinese spy technology, so
Trying to get our information or whatever. You never know. You never know. Let's see. Fable saying, I'm going through that now. Definitely reevaluating my collecting habits. Nice. Going back to what we were talking about earlier. Bruce agreeing with some of that as well. Uh, let's see. Oops, scrolling through here. The archivist says, just to give everyone who does not know or have met Justin, man, he's a hardworking man. I remember getting him for the first time, passing each other both after work, both exhausted, passing by. Yeah, man. It's I appreciate the words, archivist, and yeah, I mean that's just it with this. Between this hobby and then obviously real life and work like that, trying to find balance and everything is can certainly be tough, and that's one of the reasons I had kind of stepped away for a little bit on this stuff. And you certainly can get burnt out, and I'm sure everyone's kind of experienced that from time to time too. So going back
I
to your advice,
I mean,
Ryan.
honestly, this year, like my first year on YouTube, I gangbusters, like
Yeah,
videos all the time, and this year
right.
I haven't made a video since that last Terrificon video. Like,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah,
I've been sitting on doing a Fan Expo Canada video. I
yeah.
did that the weekend after Terrificon. I still haven't done it. So
It's a
like
good point. I remember you going out. Yeah,
you
yeah,
you were saying how I'm the hardest working guy, but yeah, it's definitely weaned a little bit this year. Like it's
yeah,
just a lot of work, and like
yeah.
sometimes you just don't feel like doing it. I really like the heart's willing, the body's not, right? So
Yes, yes, I get that.
but I got more content coming, and that's also one of the reasons why I want to do another live, is just like
Yeah.
lives is like a little bit of an easier way to put content up on the channel, right? So
Definitely, yeah, because that's what it really is, right? Is the editing. For anyone who doesn't have a YouTube channel or doesn't like create content, I will say the editing part, unless you have someone that's doing it for you, it's tedious. It can be, and it also depends on how perfect you want it or care to have it. You know, and some people, right? And some, you know, some people, hey, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Some people just, you know, they record themselves, they post it, and that works for some people, and that's great. If it works for you, that's great. I know from a creative side for me and my my personal background, and as Ryan, as you were sharing, like I know there's things I want to have, you know, laying in place from time to time, little intros, things like that, little fluff and flair. But again, everybody's different and takes it at their own. But you know, just as long as you're approaching this hobby in a way where you're keeping it fun, you're not getting too worn out from it. It shouldn't feel like work, you know, it shouldn't feel like a job. And when it starts to feel like that, you know, that can kill any hobby, you know, whatever you're doing. So make sure you're having fun. You know, when you're doing that. Yeah, Noah too. The editing kills me sometimes. Yeah, you're not alone. You are definitely not alone there. All right, we're at the hour mark, but I have to hit you up with a couple of semi rapid fiery questions here. Yeah. So and this is, you know, this segment is it's really, a lot of it's not even necessarily comic book related stuff. Some of it is, but it's also just stuff to get to know you more. And some of the answers I know the answers to, or some of the questions I know the answer to, but it's more I'm asking you because I want, you know, I want to share it with everybody and so that they can know a little bit more about you. Yeah. So first of all, and I'll have you rattle this off because I didn't want to miss. I saw Chinmo asking, this is a great question. What comes to mind for you if you were to have to name your top 5 X-Men characters as kind of a rapid
this is a popular question. Like, what's your ideal team, or what's your top 5? All right. Yeah. I don't have this ready, but
that's okay.
The top of my head, obviously Colossus, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Storm.
Yeah.
This is always where it gets hard.
Jubilee, isn't it? Jubilee.
It's not Jubilee.
Sorry, Ryan. I'm jumping in on the train here.
In some ways, I would pick Magneto, but Magneto is
go that route.
Not really an X-Men. I guess I would probably go with Iceman.
Yeah. Love it.
Or no, sorry. I take it back.
Oh.
I take it back. I'd go with Jean Grey. I think it's important to have a telepath.
True.
So,
very true.
You can, and I mean, I know there's more powerful telepaths. I mean, unless you're talking about Phoenix and stuff, but
right.
There are like some other telepaths you could get in there, but Jean's pretty solid. So
absolutely.
I'd probably put Jean in there.
Love it.
I don't know if I would say those are like my top 5 favorite X-Men, but that would be my top 5 team.
You're like, in this moment. Things are probably going to change. That's all right, Ryan.
Those first 4 would be my top 4. And then 5th is always just hard. I don't know what to do with 5.
Yeah. No, and that's what's great about the question too, because it's just like, obviously things are always changing. It also can depend on where you're at with the hobby, what you just recently read that might pull you into a certain character more than you used to, things like that. So, but I love it. Thanks, Jimmo, for the question. Our good friend Eric is in the chat. What is up, Side Quest Comics? Little spoiler: Eric is going to be my next guest for this show. So in 2 weeks, get ready for a
council member.
Some discussions with our good friend Eric here, who I was just streaming with not too long ago. A couple other things here to kind of rattle off. So we got to talk a little bit about music. Where do you stand with music? Do you have a favorite band or artist, or one maybe currently that you're listening to that you just like nonstop continue to play? Or who is that for you?
Oh, such an eclectic. I have a very eclectic music library. I would say, so I'm a big hip hop guy, but like my generation of hip hop, like I dabble a little bit with new stuff, but not a ton. I'd have to say my favorite artists, or I kind of like clump them together, but my favorite artists are Dre, Snoop, and Eminem. I like that, I love Chronic 2001, and like I like G-Funk, right, all that stuff. That's kind of my fave stuff. I also really like Wu-Tang.
Classic.
And then outside of hip hop, like I like Linkin Park, Metallica.
Yeah. Linkin Park just came back. New singer and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, Metallica's
So
great.
yeah,
I
that's
love it.
some of the stuff I dig.
Yeah, it's great. It's
But
I'm
again,
like you, man. I'm everywhere. You got to be
I'm
everywhere.
all
There's
over
so
the place. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm all over the place.
so much great music. You can't dismiss any of it. A few things. Matt saying Ryan's going to be reaching out to Justin for the next 3 days, changing his mind on the ideal team. Yeah, I mean, hey, these things are important, and you gotta make sure it's the right answers. Chinmo appreciates the hard thoughts going on in your head, Ryan. For that answer, you really put some effort into that, so we appreciate that. Bruce, I mean, I asked him. I thought maybe it was it, but. Yeah, Bruce having some fun in the chat here. No love for Kitty. Yeah, I mean, Kitty would be in mine. Kitty would be in mine. He's flabbergasted. It's a great word, by the way. All right, next question for you. If you could have one superpower, what would that superpower be?
Inorganic steel body and super strength, of
There it
course.
is. There it is. Yes, yes. Should have
But
guessed that one.
practically, if I could really have superpower, I'd probably be teleporting just to like get anywhere you want, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Wait,
That's
wait.
probably
Like distant teleporting, or like a
like
short term,
anywhere
like
anywhere
Oh, okay.
teleporting.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, you save a ton on gas, right? So that's always
Ton on airfare, you know, like
all of it.
moving costs. All you do is
Going,
just
you could go to every Comic-Con. Yeah, go to every Comic-Con you
every
want
Comic
to.
Con I'm there. Oh, and I can sleep in my own bed.
Yeah, right. At the end of the
You know
night,
what I
you
mean?
just go, all right, guys, I'm going to bed. Good night. You don't even have to worry
Tell
about,
me,
yeah,
right?
no
Is that
drinking
not
and
the best? That's the best. It
yeah,
would be
that's it.
that, or maybe like healing power, so I'd never get sick and stuff. That would be pretty
Right.
cool.
Oh yeah, there you go. I love it. Great answers. What is your favorite this is tricky. What is your favorite comic book based film of all time? Just it could be old, could be something brand new, and no TV show. We're talking film. What is your favorite, movie that's been based on comic book character, something to that effect? Obviously MCU plays
Um,
a big role in that if you wanted to pick from that.
what I'll do is I'll give you 3.
All right. I'll take
Um,
3.
it's kind of almost like 2, but so Endgame, Infinity War, and Endgame, but
Okay.
I kind of group them together. They're like,
Totally.
you
It's
know,
one big epic story. Yeah.
and then Thor Ragnarok.
Oh yeah. All right.
Um,
That's
I
one of the best.
I love that movie. I loved it. I'm a big Led Zeppelin guy.
Oh yeah. So the
Grew up,
music.
grew up Led Zeppelin, and the
Yeah.
Immigrant Song is my absolute favorite Zeppelin song. And that
Mm.
when that came on, I was just like, Lord,
It just hit home for you.
this is the best ever. Like, oh
Yeah.
my god, like
Yeah.
it was really good. I mean, I could wax poetic about so many films, but
Yeah.
those are always the 3 that pop out in my mind.
Love it. Yeah, it's great. I'm always curious about, because obviously we're all big fans of a lot of those movies, and so it's interesting to see or hear you talk your way through why you're edging out this one or two. And we know
Sometimes, I mean,
there's a
Infinity
bunch
War
that are up
Endgame
there.
always feels like a little bit of a cop out, like because it's just like so
Oh,
like
so
how can
epic.
it
Yeah.
not be? You know what I mean?
Yeah. 10
So I
years
always
worth.
like to throw in like a different one just
Yeah.
to counteract that. You know.
No, I love it. Great answers. Um, let's see. We got to talk a little sports here, man. I know we touched a little bit on some fantasy football earlier before we went live, but for the chat and for the folks at home, where do you stand with your favorite sports teams and favorite sports in general?
I'm a tortured soul when it comes to sports. Hockey's my
Uh,
favorite sport as a good
okay.
old Canadian boy.
Yeah.
Toronto Maple Leaf fan. Haven't won the Stanley Cup since 1967. Haven't,
Ooh.
yeah, just torture. And then I'm a big fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs of the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys, who are also just torturous. Yeah, our owner, Uncle Jerry, needs to go, please,
It's that time.
by any means, you know.
By
Um,
any means. Brutal.
and then like yeah, so like I'm a big hockey, football is like my main stuff, but then you know I kind of I'm a fair weather baseball fan. I'm a Blue Jays fan again, torture.
Mm.
Um,
You
Yeah.
love pain, huh? You just love
Welcome to
pain.
Toronto. Toronto's where sports fans go to suffer.
Uh, brutal, brutal, brutal. Well, you are not alone in many ways, as I'm sure many can relate in their own ways with their teams.
Not you, but
Unless you're Ravens or Yankees fan like myself, then life's
yeah,
great.
like not
You know?
you.
Knock on wood.
Or,
Knock on wood.
or all the New Englanders in town or in
Oh, oh yeah, yeah. A lot of those. Cool. So yeah. Always love that question. Curious where people are with that. I think I have two more here for you. Let's see. What was the one I just had? I think I'm going to close with this one here. And this is the way I always like. Anyone that's ever watched my show knows how I love to close with this question. And it really just comes down to, and this is good because I already ate dinner, so I'm not like hungry. But if it was a Friday night and it was you and the family, but it was your call and you could do whatever you wanted to do for Friday night dinner, whether it was to go out somewhere, order in somewhere, or cook at home, any of those options, what is your go-to meal for like that circumstance?
well, I'm unmarried with no kids, so every Friday night is that.
Perfect. So
What
you,
what could I do? What would I do? I love a good homemade macaroni and cheese. That's probably my kryptonite.
homemade, all right.
Yeah, and then I don't know, to go out, I don't really have any like favorite places to go out. It's just all the kind of same fast food crappy places. Try not to go there.
Love it. Love it.
Um yeah, we have a restaurant. It's not really a Friday night kind of restaurant, but we have a restaurant up here in Canada called Swiss Chalet.
Mm,
If you know, you know. It's
mm,
not
interesting.
fancy, but it's rotisserie chicken and it's delight. It's a delight. So I'm a big fan of that. So if I had to say favorite restaurants to go for dinner, that's the one.
Nice. Nice. I'll have to check that
Got
out
a great
sometime if I'm ever up here
got a
next.
great Greek spot in town here too that I quite like as well.
Oh, nice. There you go. Very cool. I see a couple people here in the chat just chiming in about about some of the sports here I missed earlier. So want to give a quick few highlights for some of this stuff here. Frog Brawler is Ravens and Orioles.
Mhm.
There you go. Yeah, like I'm with you on the Ravens side. And I mean, Orioles are okay. Like I can't knock on them because they're Baltimore and I like Baltimore. So they're kind of my second or third team ish for baseball, if there is such a thing. It's tough because they're in the same division as Yankees. So
Divisional rival, that's tough.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really can't hard to root for them. I will say I love if you ever go down to Camden Yards down in Baltimore, the Orioles park
They
there is
don't like
beautiful.
the Blue Jay fans much or the Blue Jays much,
True,
but late
that's
but lately the Jays haven't given them any problems. They've been good for that.
right,
But a
right,
couple like, 5, 10 years ago 10 years
yeah,
ago,
yeah.
we used to give them some trouble.
Put up a fight there. Um, Chin was saying a man after my own heart. I wonder if he's referring to the food there, Chinmo. If that's the food comments. What's on the comment where I said, what made you decide to grow a beard? That's a good question, Ryan.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I've always had this. Right now it's growing out. Like, I haven't shaved it since Terrificon, really. Like,
I love it.
it's getting a little long.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just it hides my double chin, so I like it. But it's really gray now, so it makes me feel old. Uh, so it's sort of a negative and a positive.
It's backfiring on you a little. Yeah.
A little backfiring.
That's great. Well, Ryan, man, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for coming on, for being part of this. Before I wrap up, though, I do want to ask if you have anything you want to share with the folks here watching or anybody watching the replay, anything coming up that you want to promote or any shows you're going to be at, Comic Cons, things of that nature that people should keep an eye out for.
Yeah, so I mentioned it earlier, but we're the Council of X on my channel will be having our next episode on Monday at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific time, and we will be doing our Brotherhood of Evil Mutants draft. It's a lot of fun. We all just sort of do kind of like fantasy style draft of our own individual Brotherhood teams. We did it with X-Men before. If you want to check that out, it's on my channel. So that's on Monday night, and that's going to be a great time. And then, like I said, I got a new live show coming out soon. I'll announce that soon. And I have a video coming out soon. I'm hoping this week. Depends on how long it takes me to make. If not, it'll be next week, and it'll be very exciting. So
cool.
Yeah, tune in. Stay
Nice.
tuned. Keep an eye out. That's
Yeah,
all.
man.
That's all I got.
Love it, man. I have to ask, any Comic Cons that you have lined up at the moment in the near future?
No, done for the year.
Okay.
Next year, Heroes and Terrificon is on my radar.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Dude, I'm with you. I'm with you there. I do want to get to Heroes if I can. I'm gonna try my hardest to get down.
There's a very significant push going on to go to that con.
Yeah, every year
by a lot of people. So
people travel, man, for
and,
that.
and I had such a blast at TriffCon. Like honestly, even if like all the boys that I was with last year don't make TriffCon or this year I should say, I'm still coming. I can drive it, and I know
cool.
Justin's going to be there, so and Jim
man.
going to be there.
We
so
will absolutely
late night gambles and all that stuff. So we're gonna have a time.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, come a day earlier too next time.
No one's gonna be there. I'm good. Like we're gonna have a hell of a time.
Yeah, 3 Men in the Basement, the whole crew, everybody's yeah. What's on the rack talking about Heroes Con? Yeah, well, I'm gonna try to add it to my list here for sure. It's
a
one
every year closer for Mr. Akins coming from the south.
Yeah, that I'd have to figure out if I drive down or fly down. We'll see. Yeah, a lot of TriffCon love too. Well, hey man, Ryan, thank you so much for being on the show, for agreeing to be here, and for helping me kick off my season 2, calling it my season 2 officially, even though it's kind of just been one long one for a long time. But I'm like restarting, so I figured I'd just easily call it a season 2, episode 1 here. So
my pleasure, my honor. Thank you so much for having me on, and had a great time chatting.
Absolutely, man. Many more to come, I'm sure. And for everybody watching, again, thanks so much for tuning in. If you're not subbed up to him already, make sure you do so. I put Ryan's information in the description below. Make sure you hit him up there and reach out to him over on Instagram as well. Like I said, I will be back in 2 weeks with Eric's Side Quests comics right there, who's been hanging out. So Eric, be ready, man. Be ready. I'm going to change all the questions up. It's going to throw you off completely. No, it's going to be a good time. Yeah, gonna be a good time. And just getting back into the groove thing. So I'll have more guests coming on here and there, and starting to plan some more stuff out going through the end of the year. So hopefully at least keep this every other week vibe going for Comic Collector Origins. But it feels good to be back. I'm excited to be back for this show in particular, and can't wait for more. So thank you all for tuning in. Hope everybody's getting ready here in the fall, getting ready for Halloween and all this other fun stuff that I see all the cool horror books being posted. But otherwise, everybody enjoy your night, and until next time, we will talk to you later. Peace.